Good afternoon. As is often the case, many of my students, when they begin their student teaching or begin their teaching career, are very worried that they're going to embarrass their students. And they will say to me, well, I don't want to embarrass them. I was embarrassed when I was a student, and I hated that. Well, I'm going to try to turn your mind around about that, because what is actually going on is that the student becomes embarrassed, not that you embarrass the student. So it's a matter of who the responsibility lies on and who's responsible for that verb. So the student becomes embarrassed, not you embarrass the students. Now, of course, there are ways that teachers can embarrass students and do it on purpose. Well, purposeful embarrassment of another person is totally unacceptable, even as a classroom management tool. But it does happen that students become embarrassed. It is not always easy to avoid this. So if you're teaching a lesson on whatever it is, history, math, whatever, you can't stop in the middle of your lesson and walk back to the class, back to the back of the classroom, and approach a student quietly and tell them that they need to get back on task. There's no way to unobtrusively do that. You are just going to have to, in the middle of your lesson, say, John, I need for you to pay attention. But what you can do is to not go on and on about it, not throw a bigger fit than what's needed, and to just move on. So if you are teaching and you notice that a student is not doing what they need to do, you should address it, and you should address it immediately, but you should move on. I like the idea of emphasizing what the student should be doing rather than emphasizing what they're doing incorrectly. So if I see that John is texting, I might say, John, I need for you to pay attention. Now, a high school student is going to know that means that you saw him on his phone and he needs to put it away and pay attention. So, but it gives it a very positive look, a very positive a way of hearing it, and it is comes across much more positively with the students. So don't worry about embarrassing your students. It is important that you reprimand them. And the embarrassment process, when they become embarrassed, this is actually a way for them to learn correct behavior. So it can't be avoided. Part of what you do in your job as a teacher is to help students learn appropriate ways to act in certain environments. A lot of the socialization of our country, or the civilization of our children, comes from their experiences in school. So it's actually beholding on you to address these issues and not be concerned with embarrassing. So we don't want to purposefully embarrass a student in a way that's mean or cruel. However, we need to allow them to have natural consequences that sometimes include feeling embarrassed. If you need another way of thinking of it, think of a person who has been pulled over by the police. And I know one time I was pulled over because my tags had expired. And not one, but two police cars pulled up behind my little Volkswagen Beetle. And they had their lights flashing. You'd have thought I had, just robbed the marathon station around the corner. And I was embarrassed. But the police officers did not do what they did with the intention of embarrassing me. They were following a procedure and were requiring that I follow the correct procedure in getting my tags updated like I should. So the embarrassment was mine. I had to own that. And believe me, I have never let my tags expire ever again. So let your students have natural consequences, even when this includes feeling embarrassed. Do your job like you're supposed to do it. Have a great day.